We all have our heroes, be they fictional characters, historical figures, or people close to us in our lives. Many heroes will come and go in a person's lifetime. That's the nature of change and people growing. I feel like you can learn a lot about a person, though, by the heroes that don't change throughout a person's life. For me, one such person, character I should say, would be Optimus Prime. While the Michael Bay Transformers movies were influential to me, and the Unicron trilogy of TV shows were very enthralling to me, my favorite parts of the Transformers franchise always came from sitting down and watching the original Generation 1 cartoon with my father and family. Optimus Prime always stood out as one of my favorite characters, an icon of freedom, liberty, courage, bravery, and integrity. I loved Optimus from the get-go, and I still do to this day. However, when we finally got around to watching the original 1986 movie, I was heartbroken to watch the death of Optimus Prime, my hero. Now, of course, Optimus in the show eventually did return to life. Twice. But his return was short-lived. It was actually a couple years later, when I was reading the original Generation 1 comic books, that I got to fall in love with the character all over again. It was then in issue 24, Game Over, my heart broke once more. In a digital battle, Megatron cheats, causing the death of digital life forms, something that Prime takes as a defeat to himself because he failed to save people. His honor, declaring this a defeat, determined that he needed to be the loser, and so by the terms of his and Megatron's duel, he sacrificed himself. It was 18 issues later that Optimus Prime returned, this time though as a souped-up Powermaster. And he didn't just stick around for a handful of episodes. No, this time, Optimus Prime triumphantly starred as one of the premier characters, lining the pages with his courage, bravery, heroism, and with an awesome new model that I loved and adored. For a toy introduction, this seems long-winded, but I want to drive home how much Optimus Prime means to me, especially Powermaster Optimus Prime. As a kid, I wanted the original Powermaster Optimus Prime toy very badly, but I never had the means nor the money to buy him. But here I am decades later. Masterpiece G09 Super Ginrai is announced. Goes on sale. I have the means, I have the money. I bought him as soon as I could. Whether it was a good toy or not, this would have been worth every penny, because this was my hero, in plastic form. To others though, the toy needs to stand on its own merits. It needs to be worth every penny, because it is a huge asking price for about 270 American dollars. Is Masterpiece G09 Super Ginrai worth it? Well, hello all you dears and queers. I'm your friendly toy witch Rosemary, but you can call me Rose or Rosie. Today, I want to talk about this toy. This toy is based on the character from Transformers, Super God Master Force. However, Ginrai shared a toy with Powermaster Optimus Prime. They just shared different names and different stories in Japan and the United States. So I'll likely continue to call this Optimus Prime. However, I might also call him Ginrai or Super Ginrai in this review. Speaking of though, I do think I've done enough yapping. Let's actually get on with talking about the toy of the hour. Starting in truck mode, Optimus looks amazing on first glance, if you like more show-accurate toys. As far as trucks go, if you're a fan of more realistic figures, this truck is on the plain side, I'm sorry to say. There is some detail picked out here and there, and the paint is scarce, but where the paint is used, it's used very tastefully. The front of the cab is cast and die-cast, so he has a nice hefty weight to him, clocking in at 7.1 ounces or 201 grams. There are only 2 sets of 2 wheels on the truck, as opposed to the traditional 2 sets of 3 wheels on Optimus Prime toys. Prime does have his iconic silver stripe running around the sides of the truck. It follows the bottom of the truck door before stopping. I'm sure that many people would have preferred the stripe to go all the way around the truck. However, I do think that this is a nice touch that draws attention to the molded in detail of the sculpt. On the front of the truck, the stripe barely peeks around the sides, this time stopping at the edge of a riveted panel, which makes it look like the paint has been cordoned off from the rest of the truck cab for possibly legitimate reasons. A nice detail in my opinion. Prime's headlights, hubcaps, wheels, and front bumper are painted in a lovely silver paint. The paint on the bumper though is slightly messy. It blends with the red die-cast up close, but at a distance it's really not that big of an issue. The wheels are pinned so they roll wonderfully, and the silver is painted on top of black plastic. This isn't really an issue though, because there is enough coats of the paint that the luster doesn't dull. I also love the addition of chrome on the cab. The front grille and the smokestacks are picked out in it, and it really makes them pop compared to the other sections that are just painted in silver. One objection I have with the detail though is that I really wish they had used another layer of yellow paint on the fog lights, And for that matter, I also wish that they would have painted the clearance lights on top. The clearance lights remain unpainted, and the fog lights look more yellowish green than they do actual fog lights. The windshield wipers and the window linings are also molded in, but remain unpainted, and I feel that this figure would have benefited from those being painted in the same silver as the rest of the details on the truck. I'll cover the accessories in depth later on in the review, but as far as truck accessories go, on the back of the truck, Prime has 3 5mm ports. Of course, the central one is used for his trailer, which has a 5mm peg to plug into. The center 5mm peg for the trailer also has molded in trailer hitch details, which is a lovely addition. At the front of the truck, you can plug in the Powermaster or the Godmaster, Ginrai or Haikyuu, whichever you want to call him. I won't deny that the truck cab is on the smaller, more retail side of the Transformer toy spectrum. Compared to other Masterpiece figures, he does seem kind of small. Here he is compared to MP-12 Lambor and MP-33 Inferno. The figure is a lot more in line with Chug or Unification era toys. He scales well enough with various Studio Series Optimus Primes, and when compared to Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, I think he scales almost perfectly. And here he is next to a few of Ginrai's teammates from the previous toy line Legacy. Here he is next to Legacy Metalhawk, Legacy Minerva, and Legacy Victory Saber. And since I have a few of Ginrai's enemies here he is next to Power of the Prime's Dreadwing, Legacy Skullgrin, and Legacy Deathsaurus. For final comparison, here he is next to Earthrise / Kingdom Optimus Prime. Prime does come out to 6 inches by 2 inches by 3 inches, or 14.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. Getting the cab to turn into the core robot can be a bit tricky. The arms have some seriously tight clearance, and there is an order of operations that needs to be followed to get them out properly. There are some smaller pieces in the abdomen that those with bigger fingers might find issue getting out, but overall the transformation isn't too complex, and the end result is a very fine looking Ginrai. There's plenty of sculpted detail that does reveal itself on the forearms and the legs. The head sculpt is brilliantly Optimus Prime, with light blue eyes that pop against that darker shade of blue for the rest of the helmet. The chest windows are transparent blue plastic, which allows you to look into more sculpted detail that they added inside of the chest. The toy does still hit a bit more cartoon-accurate aesthetic, relying on flat details and rounded edges. There is plenty of greebling to give you enough detail if you're willing to look for it. I will say though, I don't like the white plastic that they picked out for the crotch plate. It looks too bright compared to the other colors on the toy. And while I'm no expert on color theory, I do know that bright colors tend to draw the eyes more than darker colors. Unfortunately, this has the effect that your eyes are pretty much always drawn to Optimus's crotch, just because of the way that our eyes process light. Some people may also be put off by the fact that this is Ginrai. So if you're looking for a traditional Optimus Prime, he has blue forearms and he has a truck cab on the back, which is accurate to the character from Super God Master Force. However, those who are looking for a G1 Optimus Prime may find this off-putting. However, I feel that these slight changes help distinguish him from other Optimus Primes in your collection. And as far as the truck cab on the back goes, well, I think Dr. Lockdown puts it best. Who displays their toys from the back? If the detail is a sore point and you still need a reason to buy this figure, this toy makes up for it with super articulation. No pun intended. He's got your standard range of articulation, plus double jointed knees, plus an ab crunch, plus a wide range of articulation on his elbows, plus up and down wrist movement, plus a side to side waist crunch, and he has fingers that open and close. The articulation is great. I would have liked to have seen some downward articulation on the head. You can cheat it by mistransforming the toy, but this does compromise the stability of the chest. Also, with so many points of articulation, sometimes as you go to play with your toy or move it around, some of the articulation will accidentally activate when you don't mean to. This is more of a minor frustration than it is an actual complaint, or even a nitpick of the toy. Also, it is worth noting that this could be a quality control issue on my copy. Your mileage may vary. The locking tabs for the front wheels can stick when you're trying to activate the hip joints, meaning that if you try to move the legs forward, backwards, or outwards, sometimes the wheels prevent this from happening, but it's a quick 1-second fix and you're back to having your toy work as normal. These are ultimately nitpicks though, and I can't deny that this toy just puts a kid-like smile on my face. The toy is a great representation of Optimus Prime or Ginrai. He feels sturdy no matter what pose you put him in. The plastic feels solid and the die cast gives him a nice heft. I love the sculpt work and every bit of detail they used, plus the fabulous paint work they put on him. The chrome from the front of the truck makes a return, this time on the faux grille. The head is super expressive as well. It really captures the essence of a wide-eyed, innocent Optimus Prime. Bringing in some comparisons again though, here's Legacy Minerva, Legacy Metalhawk, Legacy Victory Saber, Legacy Skullgrin, Legacy Deathsaurus, Power of the Prime's Darkwing, Power of the Prime's Dreadwind, Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime, Studio Series Rise of Beast Optimus Prime, and Earthrise / Kingdom Optimus Prime. And for a couple Masterpiece comparisons, here he is with Masterpiece Movie 12 Optimus Prime, Masterpiece 12 Lambor, Masterpiece 33 Inferno, and Masterpiece 36 Megatron. Ginrai stands at 7.5 inches by 3.5 inches by 2 inches, or 19 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. You can still access 2 of the 5mm ports from the truck mode on the back of Optimus's legs. Otherwise, you can open his hands, and there are tabs in his palm that allow him to hold some of the accessories that he comes with. And speaking of, there are so many accessories to choose from. Optimus does come with his Powermaster Haikyuu, or Godmaster Ginrai. Whatever you call him, the small little figure is pretty poseable and has some decent sculpt work for the size. He has ball joints in his shoulders and hips, and he has a knee bend that goes a bit beyond 90 degrees. Plus, he also has a foot rotation that goes up and down. I wasn't expecting anything crazy on detail or articulation, but it is alright for display purposes. You can fold the legs around to get him into his motor configuration. As I said earlier, this plugs into the front of Prime's cab. The spring in the sliding rail system is a bit stronger than the locking tabs on the side. I do recommend flexing the legs out just a bit once you put it into the port so that the Powermaster doesn't go flying out of its port. You also get a smaller, static version of this character, doing his God-on pose from Super God Master Force. The paint is messy. Some of the minor details are painted pretty nicely, however, the red that they use on the shoulders and the arms blends with the white on the torso. Ginrai also comes with these magic energy effects, which can tab into the slots in his palm. Each of these energy effects can rotate on their base, or you can plug them off and put in the blast effects. These blast effects look pretty nice. Pretty basic, but pretty nice. However, they are painted in a sort of chalky yellow color that doesn't feel too good in hand. These plug into any of the guns that he comes with. With the core robot, he can use 4 of the 6 included guns. You get 2 small rifles and 2 big rifles. Both of these can either fold up to have 5mm pegs, or you can use slots in their handles in order to make Ginrai hold them. The trailer looks decent. If you like the classic look of Optimus Prime, you'll probably be a little disappointed. The gray plastic looks pretty good, and there are some sculpted detail on almost every part of the toy. Unfortunately, the trailer cannot be used to haul anything due to the transformation, but there are still some molded doors on the back of the trailer. There are 2 5mm ports on top of the truck and 2 5mm ports on these red stacks on the sides of the truck. This allows you to arm up the trailer as you see fit, making Ginrai ready for battle. The trailer weighs about 22 ounces or 637 grams. The molded detail is pretty good, and overall this trailer has a nice heft to it. Despite this, the side panels do feel a bit flimsy in the middle, so I advise picking up the trailer from the back or the front section. I have to mention that the hinges used for transformation are plainly visible on the sides of the trailer as well, which does break up the visual cohesion. While I do think it's nice that they molded in trailer doors to the back, I wish that they would have picked them out with some paint to help differentiate them from the sea of blue back here. The Autobot logo and the blue stripe, though, is classically Optimus, and it looks wonderful. There are also so many other little tiny details for you to find, from the lining on the trailer walls and roof to every little rivet that they added onto it. As far as trailers go, it's nothing to write home about. However, it is still a magnificent accessory for a magnificent toy. That said, this trailer doesn't have any skirting, so you can see bits of the super mode sticking out beneath the trailer. The last minor nitpick I have with this trailer is that the front of it is hollow, meaning that if you're displaying this trailer head-on, see that there's a large empty cavity where something should be. Like the front of the cab, the trailer does have pinned wheels, which help it roll really nicely. The trailer, as I said earlier, connects on a 5mm peg to Ginrai, but it can also tab in with Earthrise / Kingdom Optimus Prime or any of the Studio Series Optimus Primes that you may have lying around. If you want to have this displayed next to Ginrai, though, there are these flip-out struts that do feel a bit flimsy and the plastic is lacking. However, they do work to support the trailer. If you want the trailer to look a little more dynamic, though, you can fold it out into a base mode. This was something that you could do on the original toy, and as far as base modes go, I think it looks ridiculous. I think all base modes look, in general, like a robot lying down, though, so I'm a bit biased in that regard. The quality and the durability of it leaves a little bit to be desired. Nothing really tabs in together, everything just kind of folds out, and it does feel a bit flimsy and haphazard. The panels at the bottom are especially atrocious because they don't lock in everywhere, meaning that when you pick this base mode up, more of it tends to just dangle down. However, taking the trailer, you can fold it out into the super robot. The truck cab folds in on itself to form the center chest of the robot, and you can just slot it right in, giving you Super Ginrai. All the joints that are used in the base mode are really just repurposed joints used for the massive amount of articulation in this mode, because holy cow, this thing looks awesome.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
When I first got Prime into this mode, I just stopped and stared. I had to admire him for a few minutes. The presence, the aura of him is truly magnificent. He stands tall, ready to command the Autobots or the Cybertrons in their battle against the Decepticons or the Destrons. There's no denying that this is Optimus Prime. With the truck cab on full display, the red torso, the blue shins, the glorious head sculpt. Despite the fact that this is undeniably the leader of the Autobots, you do get options for flavor. There are 3 head sculpts to choose from. There's a toy accurate, there's a toon accurate, and then there's this angular stylized head that I particularly enjoy. You get tabs to plug into his shoulders, so that if you don't want to have him super armed up, you can have him in a more peaceful, stoic look. Otherwise, you can plug his 2 double-barreled cannons into the sides of his shoulders. You get 2 choices for hands. You get one where the hands are entirely blue, or you get one where the palms and the back of the hands are blue, but the fingers are red. You also get a sticker sheet, so you can change up the details from going from more flat toon accurate aesthetic to a more toy accurate aesthetic, which I think is a lovely addition, allowing people to choose how they want to display their Optimus Prime. There are 5mm ports, as I said, on the top of Prime's shoulders. However, there are also 2 on his forearms, which you can use to plug in various accessories. Similar to the core robot, there are slots in his palm that you can plug accessories into. He has 2 5mm ports on top of his chest and 4 5mm ports on his back. I typically like to store his rifles back here when I'm not using them. Speaking of the back, it's actually pretty well hidden away for a large gray slab. You can still see it a little bit from the front, but otherwise, it doesn't affect the profile that much. As far as detail goes, Prime has it up and down his legs. After applying the stickers, though, they really began to grow on me. He has knee guards with molded in details, but I opted to put the stickers on mine. There are some greebled panels inside of his calves as well, with some lovely silver paint picking out the very, very top of his shins. The legs are on hefty ratchet joints, giving them a nice sturdy feel. However, the wheels do stick out a bit too far, meaning that it's almost impossible to get Prime into a proper kneeling pose on a flat surface. There's also a ton of other articulation to use on this toy. There is nothing super out of the ordinary, except for an ab crunch. This figure feels really stable no matter what pose you put him in. It gives him a nice commanding presence. Each of the hands has molded in fingers. You get a posable thumb, posable index finger with 2 joints, and the middle index and pinky finger are molded together, but they all are posable as well. He has line work up and down his forearms, and there's a panel to hide the cavity where his hands store, so there's no forearm gap, giving the arms a nice clean look as well. He has tamper-graphed Autobot insignias on his shoulder outline in black, but the stickers offer instead a more vibrant, multicolored Autobot logo. There's plenty of line work on the chest as well. There's a small display port stand behind the toy, but it can be a bit hard to access. This is likely why you also get an included display port adapter accessory. Since it is molded out of clear plastic, I do fear that this will grow brittle over time, especially if you plan to display this in the sunlight. For those of you who don't know, if you display clear plastic in sunlight, it can grow brittle and crack over an extended period of time. The same goes for white/gray plastics. They tend to yellow in sunlight. Speaking of plastic, Ginrai feels nice, dense, and solid. The die-cast of the truck cab and the leg give him a nice sturdy feel, while the rest of the plastic doesn't feel flimsy or weak at all. Normally, I would give you an accurate reading of his weight. However, this figure actually goes above the maximum rating on my scale, so I can't do that here. However, doing some quick math, this figure should come out to about 30 ounces, or 840 grams. Weight aside, Powermaster Optimus Prime has a commanding presence, standing at 5.5 inches by 4.75 inches by 11.5 inches, or 13.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters by 29 centimeters. Bringing in his friends, here's Legacy Minerva, Legacy Metalhawk, Legacy Victory Saber, and his enemies, here's Legacy Skullgrin, Legacy Deathsaurus, and Power of the Primes Darkwing and Dreadwind. For other comparisons, here's Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime, Studio Series Revenge of the Fall, and Optimus Prime. Earthrise/Kingdom Optimus Prime. For the Masterpiece comparisons once more, here's Masterpiece Movie 12 Optimus Prime, Masterpiece 12 Lambor, Masterpiece 33 Inferno, and Masterpiece 36 Megatron. Now, while I really do love this super mode, it does have some flaws. When combining the trailer and the truck cab, you should be gentle. If you try and force the cab into the chest, you can untab the smokestacks and chip off the locking tab from his legs. This only happened to me because I tried to force the cab in. Please remember that if you feel like you're not getting him in just right, take your time, pull the truck cab back out, readjust his thighs, and then try again. I believe in you. Don't force the truck in, and I believe that you can do it. The side panels on the sides of the trailer fold in on a series of hinges, but the locking tabs are a bit loose, so sometimes it doesn't feel the most secure on the side of his shins. However, once everything is tabbed in together nice and securely, everything is solid and won't move until you decide to transform it back to its trailer trailer mode. The last gripe I have is that the super mode head rests on a panel on top of the truck cab. There's a minor tolerance/clearance issue, which means that there is oftentimes a small gap between the truck cab and the head. This is really more of a gripe than it is an actual issue, as it's not too terribly noticeable from most distances, and even up close, it doesn't look too horrible. And again, this could be a quality control issue on my copy. Your mileage may vary. The last issue I have with this toy is that the feet rotate out. However, they don't have any stopping points, meaning that it's just friction that are holding these in place. I'm afraid that over time, the friction will cause the feet to become loose. All of those flaws said, this toy is awesome. I can't begin to explain the childlike wonder I have just holding it in my hand. It is certainly not perfect, but it is damn close. I love the amount of articulation, the detail, the magnitude of this figure. It all just speaks for itself. Pictures cannot do this justice, and I'm really hoping that my words are doing a better job than my photography. This video was hard to make, not because it's going to take me a while to edit, or because the figure is difficult to work with. No, this video is hard to make because of all the Transformers, hell, all the toys I've ever owned. This one left me so completely speechless, and I know that spending dozens of minutes rambling about a piece of plastic might sound contrary to that. But I assure you that every moment I was writing this script was a moment I was trying to figure out how to put my thoughts into words, and failing because words don't do this toy justice. It is truly something you have to hold, feel, and experience for yourself. Masterpiece G09 Super Ginrai gets an 8 out of 10 from me. There are a few issues that do hold it back from that perfect score. But otherwise, this is a fun toy. Whether you're a collector for the mainline figures, Masterpiece figures, it is a brilliant display of engineering and a true dedication to making awesome toys by Hasbro and Takara. It has a number of amazing accessories that are fun to play with. It's hard to put just how much I recommend this figure, but I hope that this video has been something close to enough to convince you. If you like Super God Master Force or Optimus Prime, this figure is a must-have. He works great as a display piece or as just a figure on his own. He works great in a group or as a solo toy. For fans of the character or fans of great toys, you will like this figure. It is astounding how accurate they got the likeness of the character, and just how much fun I've had playing this figure. I can't recommend buying him enough, but I hope that I've done a good enough job. I do appreciate you watching though. I've been your friendly toy witch Rosemary with Masterpiece G09 Super Ginrai. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that YouTuber shit that I'm supposed to say, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, lovelies. Ciao, ciao.